In the pen community, we often seem to talk about quality control only if it's poor. Flipping this on its head, what brand would you praise for excellent QC? Could you give an example of a company that typically sells pens under $100 and another typically over $100 that you feel deserves praise on the nib QC? Thank you. Well, I think this gives us a nod back to the question that I had last week about the Visconti nibs and the Goulet Q&A 87, 88. Which one was it? I can't remember. I wrote down 87, but I thought it was last week, which would have been 88. Dang. Anyway, I think, yes, people have a tendency to want to spread negative information more than positive. You know, if somebody cuts you off on the way to work, you are way more likely to tell a story about that person that cut you off than you are about the probably 40 other people that use their turn signal appropriately and merged without any drama. It's just human nature, you know what I mean? That kind of stuff sticks out more in our mind. Not only that, but when you deal with online stuff, especially expensive pens and things that people are very passionate about, when there's negative stuff, especially people that don't have any experience with that tend to want to share and spread that. It's kind of like an online gossip, right? And what's the harm? Who cares? You know, it's like it's all anonymous and all that kind of stuff. When any degree of anonymity that you have only just kind of makes that spread even a little further. It's human nature. It's not really to fault anybody, but you know, I'm glad you asked this question because it does shed some light onto maybe some of the brands that you know, just you know, don't, well, I'm not going to say don't get talked about, because a lot of the brands with good QC do get talked about for good reason, but it does tend to get overshadowed, not nearly to the degree as brands that have negative things going on. So let's see here. I think there's no question that the Japanese brands are phenomenal in terms of their quality. I think it's woven deep into their culture, and they take it very, very seriously. Whenever there's any type of quality concern that I bring up to any of our Japanese brands, it's like I have to make sure that I know exactly what the heck I'm talking about, because they will investigate and they will take it very seriously, and it helps me in communicating to them to have all my ducks in a row. You know, if there's any type of QC issue with Pilot or Platinum or anybody, you know, I don't deal with Sailor anymore, but I'm sure they are the same way. They take that stuff very, very seriously. So, you know, Pilot specifically, I'll say their QC is phenomenal. It's not perfect, but given the amount of pens they produce, it's pretty amazing. They cover a full range of prices, so you got into your question of like the over under $100 here. I think especially their pens that are under $100 is truly impressive as to their quality control, because when you get into pens like the Metropolitan and the Kakuno and stuff like that, certainly when you get into, you know, having to produce a pen of that quality at that scale, it would certainly lend an opportunity to sacrifice on quality control, especially on the nibs, but that really is just not the case very much. I hear about things here and there. More often than not, I think what I end up seeing with pens like the Metropolitan, where people are like, oh, the tines are misaligned, this thing's right scratchy. A lot of times, it has been in the past where people just have not filled them or not been aware of when they've run out, especially, you know, when the pens are coming with the squeeze converter. Now they're starting to come with Con 40s, the clear, you know, piston converters. But when they were coming just with the other ones, a lot of times they would start to run out of ink and people would press on them, tap them, stuff like that. So it would be kind of an inadvertent user error that would cause some of these issues. That was a lot of what we saw around here that was happening, especially newer people that get into it. It's a very affordable pen. That tends to happen a little bit more with affordable pens. True QC issues get a little bit harder to separate out from just not having enough ink in the pen and stuff like that. So that's where you got to be careful about kind of separating that stuff out there. But it is based on my experience and the number of pens like that we've seen come through here. It's pretty amazing the quality that we've seen. I've always been very impressed with that. Platinum also deserves a nod, especially for the Platinum Preppy. That is a super affordable pen. The quality is fantastic. You hear about some things of like some cracking issues and stuff like that, durability stuff here and there. You know, yeah, it's definitely a less affordable. It's a more affordable pen, so you're going to run into some durability things here and there. But again, given the number of pens that are out there, it's not nearly an issue like you would think it would be. I think German brands also take consistency and quality very seriously. I know that is the case. Lamy is pretty dang consistent. I think they do get some flack on some of their steel nibs, especially like the extra fines, because there's a small percentage of them from their overall pens that end up dealing with some line variation and things like that, and some people that have different expectations about how they should write. So I think they deserve a tip of the hat, but I know that there are some feelings out there about that, so I don't want to just brush that aside. But in general, especially in terms of like the actual pen quality and stuff like that, pretty dang awesome. And when you consider what these pens cost, it's pretty cool. And then Pelikan, I think, deserves high marks for quality too, especially in the higher price ranges. You know, I don't deal a lot with their lower price pens. We've tried carrying them here and there, and the quality's always been good. But I think some of their higher end pens, the quality is what they're really known for. You pay a premium for it. You pay on the upper end for the Pelikan pens, but you're always getting a really good product too. And then, you know, going back to Pilot, talking especially Pilot and Namiki, has to get a mention in the upper, you know, range, over $100 for sure. Especially like, you know, the Vanishing Point stuff is really good quality, but when you get into those Namiki Makies and stuff like that, there's no question those are some of the best made pens in the world, because of the attention that they get and how seriously they take their quality. So that's what I think deserves the most recognition based on your parameters of the question.